It's 7 a.m. and we're in Peoria, Arizona, a suburb of Phoenix. Specifically, at the Jack in the Box, where I like to stop and get some coffee. It's Saturday morning, November 2nd, and it's a little too early for people to be out, but they'll use the park a little later. It'll get some good use. It's going to be a gorgeous day. As usual, I'm riding low and slow. You really can't see it on these videos, but my head is swiveling around all the time, looking at stuff. Okay, it's time to leave the park, and we're headed west. I didn't bother to check the weather on my phone, but my best guess is that it's in the high 50s, low 60s right now. Beautiful. I just love my early morning rides. It gives me a chance to do a lot of daydreaming. But when I get to an intersection, I have to pay attention. People tend to block the sidewalk with garage sale signs, but if I can get by, I'll leave them alone. I'm a little bit wider than most wheelchairs. The sidewalks here really don't get much use, but they are nice and wide, and that's a bike lane over there, so people could use it if they want to. But this is a city designed around cars. You have to keep that in mind. People in cars rarely pay attention to anything other than other cars, traffic lights, that sort of thing. So when I see someone who is paying attention to sidewalks, pedestrians, and people like me, I give them a big smile and wave. Thank you. Of course, I get away from the main streets as quickly as possible. I prefer these quiet little neighborhood streets. But you still have to watch out because the cars are everywhere. I always wear very bright colors, including my favorite color, the Optic green yellow, which even my sneakers have. But I realize that pedestrians and bicyclists aren't things that most people in cars think about and are prepared for. So if you are, thanks again. As near as I can figure, my pace is about the same as riding a horse. And speaking of horses, I just decided recently to Google how much horsepower I have. Apparently, as a strong and athletic man, I have about 2 horsepower, which is ridiculous. I mean, have you ever seen a horse? They're big and strong. I'm not as strong as one horse, let alone two, maybe a half. But what I've learned from this is that the measurement of horsepower really isn't all that accurate. I think it was a marketing trick to make people think engines were much more powerful back when they replaced horses. Of course, now when we think of horsepower, we rarely think of horses. I know I never did. My old Mustang had a lot of horsepower. What that means is that when I need, at some future point, some electric assist, 2 horsepower should be plenty for me. I've read a little bit about electric assist, but I don't need it yet. The old legs are working just fine. When I need it, I'll get it, I promise you. I'm just hoping that when I do get the electric assist, it'll be nice and quiet. I love the quiet, pedaling around. I don't want to listen to the sound of a lawnmower everywhere I go. In fact, the trike is so silent that in the early morning, sometimes I'll come up behind people and I'll wait for them to just keep going. And if I do need to go by, I'll try not to startle them. I'll just say, "Good morning." But I'm usually finished with my ride long before most people are up and about, which is part of the reason I like my morning rides. And yes, I yield to everyone. I can pull over to the side, wave people through. I don't see anybody, but if I do, that's exactly what I do. I'll usually say, "Come on through. I'm just sitting here." Okay, we'll be approaching a more congested area in a little bit, so it's time to stop daydreaming. Pay attention. Watch those driveways. And we're going past Crossroads Plaza. Let's see, where have I been to? I've been to just about all of these businesses. You see Goodwill, Dollar Tree, Harbor Freight. Oh, and Ta Carbon. Great tacos. I recommend the carne asada. Delicious. Making myself hungry just thinking about it. And if my regular viewers will pardon me for just a couple of seconds here, I'd like to welcome the new people who are just visiting for the first time. And if you're wondering if anything spectacular is going to happen, if I'm going to be jumping or going out into traffic, no, I'm not. This is low and slow. I just love being out here. My regular viewers know that I'm a stroke survivor, and that just being out here for me is spectacular and amazing. You only live twice, once when you're born, and once when you look death in the face. This is my second life. Well, speaking of living for a long time, there's the new bike lane that they just put in a couple days ago. I'm going to leave it to braver bikers than me. I'm just going to stay up on the sidewalk, going low and slow. They did a beautiful job. The paving is just excellent, and I'm sure that people commuting on bikes will make good use of this. But it's not for me. Oh, here are some people walking on the sidewalk. I'll show you what I do. Just slow down to a crawl. Sometimes I'll even just stop, give me an excuse to drink some water, and then I'll proceed. I'm not in a hurry. This is a shared space. Everyone matters. People in cars, people walking, people on bikes. Everyone. Well, thanks for riding along with me this morning. Hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. See you next time.